Hey, how's it going? Welcome to this video. In this video, I'm going to talk about a simple PDF that we created that helped us generate over $100,000 in revenue in just a few months. My name is Kyle Bacus, and I've been in marketing and advertising for about 2, 3 years now. And on this channel, all I talk about is the changes that I've made to go from literally wasting tens of thousands of dollars on ads, trying to figure out how things worked and getting on sales calls with people who were not qualified, not motivated, not interested in buying, and just asking general questions like, what do you do? Or sometimes even, who are you? Why am I on this call? To ultimately creating ads and sales processes that bring people through from cold traffic, ultimately getting onto sales calls where they're interested, high intent, and ready to buy, all while doing that profitably. So, that being said, let's talk about this PDF we created. Now, the biggest problem that I experienced with how I was running ads before and what I changed to ultimately make my ads more profitable was getting enough buy-in before the sales call. So the reason most people have poor lead quality, or they're not able to convert people, or generally the sales calls just don't go well and it feels like a very long sales cycle and there's a lot of stuff that goes into it, is because you're not getting enough buy-in before the call. So what's really happening when you get those bad quality leads is that you're not selling them on your solution, on your method. And when I'm talking about that, I'm not talking about your service. Let's say you offer taxes, or let's actually say you're a financial advisor. Let's say you're a financial advisor and you offer financial advising. I'm not talking about selling them on why you're the best financial advisor, or why you're the best option for them, or how your services are lower cost. I'm talking about selling them on your strategy or your specific solution that helps them solve their problem. And I have another video on levels of awareness. If you're trying to understand this concept more, go watch that video first and then come back to this, and that should make a lot more sense. But I'm also going to dive into a bit of what I'm talking about here as well. So that being said, let's go ahead and jump into it. So first, let's talk about the two key elements of every sale. And I kind of touched on this, but the first thing you need to sell people on before they get on your sales call is why your solution is different, better, unique, superior, and faster at solving their problem. People come to your sales calls, if you have good ads at least, because they see you're talking about a problem that they have. Maybe it's they're paying too much in taxes. Maybe their team is inefficient. Maybe they're not getting enough quality leads. Maybe their ads aren't profitable. Maybe their content isn't growing, or maybe their YouTube channel isn't growing, or maybe their Instagram. You get the idea. They have some problem that they need fixed, or they want fixed. Now, the next thing that they're going to do after they identify that problem is start looking for solutions. So let's say I'm trying to grow my Instagram. So if I'm trying to grow my Instagram, I'm going to start looking at what are the different ways what are the different strategies or solutions that will allow me to grow my Instagram. So once I start looking for those solutions, your job in your marketing and your advertising is to resonate with the right problem. So put in your ad what the problem is, and then sell those people on why your solution is the best option. Again, this is not your service. This is your strategy for growing that. So you'll have to name that. There's a whole process for that. I do have, again, in that levels of awareness video, I talk about that a bit more. But that being said, you have to sell them on the solution. So once you convince them that your solution is the best way to solve their problem, the second sale is going to be that you're the best person, or your offer is the best way for them to implement or take action on that solution. So we've got the problem, we've got the solution, and then you've got your offer. And your offer is how you're going to solve that problem for them. You've probably seen ads before where it's like, hey, we're going to get you, we'll help you add $100,000 to your revenue in the next 30 days, or we'll work with you for free until you do. What we're going to do is build, a done for you funnel, whatever the case is. That's the offer. So the offer's down here. They need to be sold on the solution. First, resonate with the problem, and then you work them through to ultimately get on that sales call. So your entire focus in your marketing before the call, from your ad to your VSL or whatever, and we'll talk about the different ways you can kind of give people this messaging before the call, but ads, whatever your conversion mechanism is, or your solution awareness mechanism, and ultimately convert people, sell them on that idea, convert them over into your service. So here are the different ways that you can make people aware of your solution. So again, we're looking at it. You got the problem. Now we get them in from the ad, kind of talk a bit about the solution, get them to schedule the call. Now we want to sell them on our solution. So you can do this through content. This could be blog posts, articles, short form, long form, all that kind of stuff. VSLs is a very big one. A lot of people have an ad that goes to a page where there's an application at the bottom and a VSL in the middle, some headline at the top. And that VSL, the purpose of that is to sell them on why your solution is the best option compared to everything else to sell that or solve their problem. If you do that, your sales calls are going to be way more qualified, but you have to get them to consume this content and fully understand, why is this solution the best? How is it faster? How is it going to work? What are the expectations? What are the results? What are your past case studies, testimonials? Does this actually work? Have people tried it? All that kind of stuff needs to be handled before you get them onto the sales call. Now, next is going to be PDFs. So these are like ebooks. They could be like infographics, things of that sort. But this is what we're going to be talking about in this case study on this video. But I want to give you a few other examples as well. This can be done in emails, education calls, which is actually a preliminary conversation with the prospect before you send them to the final sales calls. This can be webinars, challenges. Anytime you hear someone referring to a funnel strategy, this is all they're talking about. It's a different way to get the same messaging across. And that's why I hammer so much on the idea that the funnel isn't entirely, it's not the most important thing, to be completely honest with you. The most important thing is the messaging and understanding how to create the right messaging and create a decision reframe, and ultimately bring people to your solution, realizing your solution is the best way to do it and understanding at a deep level how it's going to help them. That's the whole purpose of a funnel. That's the whole purpose of these different mechanisms. It's to sell them on your solution. If you do that, I'm telling you, your sales calls are going to be so much easier. And really, when I look back at all my old advertising and all the things that I tried, all the funnel strategies, none of it worked because I did not do a good job at this. I was not selling a solution. To be honest, I didn't even know what my solution was. I was trying to sell a service. I was talking to some random problems or desired outcomes. I had no idea what I was doing. But now, once you realize everything revolves in your marketing around selling this solution, and it's going to clearly show why people are different. They won't be able to shop you, won't be able to talk about competitors, anything like that, because you actually are different. You have a unique solution to their specific problem. Okay. So now I already talked about this a bit, but like, what is a funnel? Like, again, Russell Brunson with ClickFunnels, they did a lot of awesome stuff because they talk about, funnels. They show people how this worked. But I think the biggest thing, and this left me struggling for years, was not understanding this concept of like, what is the actual purpose of it? Not like, when you first start advertising or marketing, you're looking at all the tactics. Like, well, how should this page, what series of pages should I have? How should this page be set up? And yeah, that's all important. But like, if the main core part of your messaging is wrong, no matter what funnel you use, you're going to fail. I promise you that is what is going to happen. So what is the purpose of a funnel? A purpose of a funnel is to attract people. So you draw them in with some type of valuable content. You educate them, teach them about your unique method or unique solution to sell them on the idea that you can solve their problem better, faster, easier than all the other solutions out there. You convert them over into a sales call. And then finally, you sell them on your offer and close them on the sales call. So all a funnel is the way you sell someone on your method of getting them their desired result before you even get on a sales call and show them how you actually deliver that result. If you don't do this before the sales call, you're going to have high no-shows. You're going to have bad quality calls. Your leads are going to suck. Your sales team's going to complain. Everyone's going to be pissed. No sales are going to come out of it. Your ads definitely aren't going to be profitable. You're going to lose tons of money, waste a ton of time, get frustrated, and then result back to, well, we're just going to stick on organic. Paid ads don't work for us. Paid ads do work for you. You're just not structuring the process the right way, giving them enough information to educate them on how your unique mechanism is going to help them. Once they're sold on that idea, it's very hard for them to switch over to something else. You need to switch them into believing and seeing how your unique solution can help them. Once you do that, converting them is way easier, way easier. So again, to kind of deepen and like further talk about that point, to turn cold traffic leads into warm, high converting leads in less than 7 days, you need to put them through a conversion mechanism, a solution awareness mechanism, like we talked about here. It's essentially the same thing, but you've got to sell them on that solution. I know I'm repeating myself, but that it's really that important. So now let's talk about this case study with the PDF. So initially, we sent for one of my clients, we sent cold traffic to a VSL. We were getting calls at a very, very low cost, but most people did not watch the video all the way through. And my initial thought was, well, let's just make people watch the video. So we don't allow them to book a call until they've seen the whole video. And that was horribly stupid. Our costs went way up. Even the people who watched the whole thing, like, still weren't sold. So I realized, okay, bad idea. So we changed that, turned that off, let people through again. And I talked about here, like, we could have kept forcing people to watch the video before they scheduled the call, but getting them to schedule is already difficult. And if you stop them from scheduling, it's very hard to get them back. Like, the idea was we would keep them from watching or scheduling, make them watch the video, and then try to hit them with other content to get them back on the call. It just does not work. Just have people schedule as much as possible. You do want to filter out people in your application that are just totally unqualified. But if they're qualified from your application, you want to get them to schedule. It's really that simple. So the solution was, instead, we created a PDF that was framed as an ebook that conveyed almost the same exact messaging as the VSL and just sold our method. So now we've got the VSL that people would watch a part of, maybe get interested, kind of start to get the idea, but then then they schedule the call and they're going to have a ton of questions. So now we hit them with a PDF that lays out all of the common questions and what's framed as an ebook, so they can have, they're not feeling like they're being sold. It's just straight information. So they're able to go through and look at the headline and say, oh yeah, I want to learn about this, or oh yeah, I do have this question. So they can quickly get through that stuff. And because of that, you see way more people coming through to the sales calls already knowing how the solution can help them, why it's the right option for them, if it is the right option for them, because they received that ebook and they actually consumed the messaging, got all their questions answered. Now they're getting on that call saying things like, hey, I'm super excited about what you guys do. I just have a few questions. Can you kind of explain to me how the service works, how the program works, how this works? Those are the questions you want on the call. You do not want things like, what do you guys do? How do you do it? I don't even know. All the other bad questions that you get on your sales call. That's not what you want. You want people coming on saying, look, I love this. I'm super excited about it. I just want to make sure that what I think you guys offer is what you actually offer, and that the offer makes sense for me. Boom. If you have them in that mindset when they get on the sales call, you're doing this whole process right. You're selling people on the solution the right way. So this is what happened. I don't know why I put those dots there. It's fine. We'll talk about it anyway. So the immediate revenue impact. So the first day we launched this, we brought in $19,600 in revenue. That was in a single day. That was the day after we made that change. We went from struggling on sales calls to closing $19,600 in revenue in just one day. That's a huge win. We were super excited about that. That showed us that we made the right change. We did the right thing. And then over the next few months, I mean, it generated hundreds of thousands of dollars because of this PDF, because people downloaded it. I mean, there even were cases where we sent this to the warm audience for people who haven't reached out or interacted with anything or scheduled any calls or anything. They got this PDF. There was a CTA to schedule a call at the bottom. Boom, that generated a ton of revenue. So that alone shows you the power. Even if people are in your warm audience, if they're not sold on the solution, they're not going to convert. So by getting them this material, selling them on the solution, tons of people came through and converted, create a lot of revenue. And like I put here, it literally, like, within a day, we implemented this, boom, results just went from average at best to, okay, now we're looking really good. Now things are converting. So that is why the PDF is so important, why selling on the solution is so important. So let's talk about the key takeaways. I got 3 of them here. Let's talk about the first one. Let's redefine the idea of bad quality leads. If you're running ads or you've ran ads in the past and you've got bad quality leads showing up to those calls, first, we got to recognize the real issue. It's not that the leads are bad quality, especially if you have them fill out an application and all those questions were right to allow them through to actually schedule the call. That's not a bad quality lead. That's a qualified lead. The problem is you didn't actually sell them on the method, on your solution. And if you can do that, then you're going to get much better quality leads. Again, people who are showing up and saying, hey, I really like what you guys do, but I just want to make sure it's right for me. That's the frame that you want on the call. That's the type of call you want to have. You don't want people showing up where you have bad quality leads that say things like, what do you guys do again? Like, why am I even on this call? I barely remember scheduling it. That's not what you want. So what you need to do is first realize that, reframe what you think bad quality leads are, and then choose your approach. How are you going to nurture people? My recommendation is, if we look back up here, do multiple. Like, have a VSL, and then after someone schedules a call, hit them with a PDF right away. Have your sales guy text them. This works extremely well. Have your sales guy from an iPhone text that person, confirm the call, and say, hey, check out this ebook. It's going to answer all of your biggest questions, and then list some of those questions out that people typically have. Going to get a ton of readers onto that ebook. Then also, you have emails going out that are nurturing them. You're hitting them with content. You're hitting them with anything, long form YouTube, anything you can get them to consume your information more. And don't feel like you're overwhelming people, because they're wondering these things themselves. If you just do straight value and you're not selling anybody on you, or you're just talking about the solution and how it can help them achieve their desired outcome, you're not going to bother people. People are looking for that kind of information. That's why they schedule the call. So don't feel like you're inconveniencing people or hounding people. They want the information. Maybe they don't even respond, but I guarantee they're looking at everything that you're sending them and they're thinking, okay, this may or may not be the right choice. And here's another thing too. If they decide it's not the right choice before the call, and they don't show up, or even they text you and say, hey, I'm sorry, this is probably not the right choice for me, good, get them off the calendar. Don't go to that call. Don't waste your time with someone who wasn't going to buy anyways. Yeah, maybe there's the argument of, well, if I got them on a call, I could have handled the objection. Sure, maybe you could have, but why think or try to create a situation where your sales team needs to be absolute ninjas? Like, you want people getting on your sales calls pretty much ready to buy, so you can put anybody who's got even a mild amount of sales skills into that position and have them closing people like crazy. You don't want to say, I need a 10 out of 10 team of salespeople, because once you scale, it's very hard to keep a solid sales team. And I mean, I worked with a company that had over 50 salespeople, and let me tell you, it's very, very difficult. It's very difficult. So, all right, key takeaways number 2 and number 3. So, scheduling and decision reframing. So, and I kind of quickly touched on this, but I want to repeat it again. Do not stop people from scheduling to consume your content. Show them a VSL, let them schedule. If they don't even watch the VSL, it's fine. There's stuff you can do to improve the amount of people who actually watch that, or percentage of people, and just let them schedule and then hit them with content after. It's much easier to get someone to just schedule through, then hit them with content to nurture them and then close them, than it is to keep them from scheduling, make them watch content before they schedule a call and then schedule a call. It's just so much harder to do. Get them while they're interested, get them while they're at a high level of decision making, or at least they have that kind of like buyer's motivation, and just start attacking them. Hit them with content, hit them with a VSL, hit them with an ebook, send them a text from an iPhone, all that kind of stuff. And then the third is the decision reframe. This is very key. If you can master this and you can reframe people on what your solution is and how it's better than everything else, I mean, closing traffic is not going to be an issue anymore. This is the most important thing. This is really what people want to know when they schedule a call with you and they ask, what do you do? They want to understand, what is your decision reframe? They're not ever going to say that, obviously, but they want to know, how is this different from all the other crap I've heard or seen or maybe even tried? They want to know how this is different, how it's unique, how it's better, how it's faster, how it's easier. And then once they're sold on that, then they'll come to you and say, hey, I love this. I really like what you guys do. Let's talk about your offer. That's how you're going to convert people like crazy. So find the best way to do it for your audiences. Some audiences prefer short videos, PDFs. Some prefer to sit down for a webinar. Some prefer, all the other strategies, challenges. Like, there's so many things you can do. Try to figure out what one, or even just decide from intuition or what you know about your audience, which one they're going to prefer the most, and then implement that stuff and just hit them with all of that content again to just sell them on that solution. So the decision reframe is what transforms skeptical prospects into eager buyers by shifting their perspective on both your solution and you as the provider. Now you're unique. Now you're the best solution, and you're going to be able to solve that problem and clearly show people how you do that. That's what takes skeptical buyers to hot, ready to buy, motivated prospects, and ultimately is going to make your ads actually profitable. So I hope you enjoyed this video. If you have questions, drop them in the comments. And yeah, thanks for watching.